Hello, my good friends. This is going to be the start of discussion about mud fossils. Now, I discovered mud fossils. My name is Roger Spur. I discovered them 10 years ago, and I realized they were body parts that had turned to stone, like this lung, which turned out to be human DNA. Now, I extracted the specimen very carefully, clean the whole 9 yards inside of the red bloody area. Here's the lung here, right down in this area, inside where there's a lot of red blood, and that's this lung, and that's what this is called pleura, this coating, that particular fabric, and it's on everything that is on the surface of organs. It's they call it interstitium now, but it's still this on the lung. It's extremely dense because it's a fabric rubber bag. It goes in bloop, 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 over and over all day, expands, contracts. Now there is interstitium on every body part, and this is a goose head, and that is the feathers on the top of the goose's head. That's the pattern. And when it died, it drowned and laid flat like this. That's why this side is pretty flat. And this got saturated with salty waters. The neck is right there, the throat. You can see it if you look carefully. I look at everything in the microscope. And it was laying like this, and it's just snapped off. And the body was laying out this way. Now, this is a bone. Same thing. This is the same fabric on this bone. Let me show it to you in the microscope. In relation to the goose head, in relation to the lung, they all have the same fabric. They call it, when I say they, I mean the geologists would call it feldspar. But it is not, well, you can call it feldspar, but it is the coating of all your separations between membranes and layers and interstitium and fascia. This is completely eroded down, this long, and blood dripped out of it. Literally dripped out of it. I'm not kidding you. And it was every one of those little red spots. You see those little red spots? They were all over the place. Everywhere. They're leaking blood everywhere. And now, you see, this is a red area and this is like a white area. Well, I'm sure it was laying up in this presentation where the red blood leaked out. That would have been at the bottom. And the blood just runs out. Now, you see these, the alveoli, little... the surface holes there, it's the same stuff here. Exactly the same thing. And this one I extracted and had sent off to Helix Biolabs. I'll show you the report. Came back, it was human DNA. And that's all he's claiming. He has no other claim to say whatsoever, and he doesn't want to be associated with any claim about these things or giants, because I also sent him 2 samples that were from giants, and all 3 came back as human mitochondrial DNA, and that's all he's claiming. However, I also showed those to Gil Hedley, who is one of the world's top anatomists. He's the top guy in fascia, that's for certain, and he didn't say, yeah, oh, absolutely, they're human. No, absolutely, there's no way he can say that. All he could say is it looks like human anatomy, and he was pretty specific that it was very, very, very. It looked exactly. Basically, that's what he's saying. But he doesn't want to get associated with saying, oh, these are giants either. And they were CAT scanned, and of course they don't want to get associated with either. Because everybody that says something outrageous like this, which it's spectacular, it's outrageous, it's insane, but it's true. And everybody, they get assaulted. I know that for a fact because let's go with that. I know they get assaulted. And the same thing happened to Velikovsky. They actually attacked his publisher so that he couldn't they made him take the books off the bookshelf after being on the top of the bestseller list 11 weeks in a row, because the academics were so upset that he went against their theories, which he had evidence. They had theories. Same thing here. I have evidence, they have theories, and they're very upset. It's been 10 years. I have DNA, I have CAT scans, I have all that stuff. And nobody else is making these claims, just me. So I'm sitting in the woods doing it by myself. I know it's caught on. You know, it's all over the place now, mud fossils. I originally was going to call it fascia facilitated fossilization, because everything I found had a coating of fascia on it, which is pleura, fascia, you know, it's the coating, tunica they used to call it, and they all have it. And that's what separates one body part from the rest of your body. Otherwise you'd be all mixed up together. And now they found that they tag together. Like this one right here. Hold on, let me show you this. Alright, you see this? This is fascia. Well, this is interstitial fascia. It's the same sort of stuff. And it's the same as on this rock. This rock, and I'm going to show you what, this was 10 years ago when I found this. It was, you can see the same exact latch. Watch. And that latch holds you together. Here it is right here. Boom, there it is. That's the same latch we just saw on the other one. That's the meat, and the latch is going up to hold the other piece of meat in position. See? That's this rock right here. It's been kicking around, but they keep you know, a little bit of moisture on there, and they come back a pretty good color. You find these rocks, they still have the same color. They laying out in somebody's driveway or in their landscape or in their house or something. That people like these things because it's somewhere in their mind they know what's going on there. But you show that to a geologist, just metamorphic. So that's what you got. All right, this is the DNA report. Again, all they said was what I sent them. They had no intervention in the harvesting or anything. It was what I bagged up 3 specimens. One of them was from this, which is a lung, and 2 of them were from other samples that were from much larger creatures. And I also have other things like, I believe, new species, and I am going to be getting a bunch more of them in next week that are in various forms of decay where you can see inside of them. And inside of them there's springs. There's no bones. There's actually springs. But they did have a fibia and a tibia. A tibia and a fibia. The big bone is cradled there, and the little one goes here. And they have an arch just like us. And they bang and a bang and a bang, they hit there, and there's the arch. And I have a friend that has found a ton of these, and I will be getting them, and they are all eroded off. Well, anyway, that's a whole other issue. But we're going to be going through so much stuff that's been neglected. Now, this is 3 mud fossil samples. This goes back 6/20/15. And it took a month or 2, I forget, it was a while. But there was 3 of them, and that's what I called them. And this is what it consisted of: bacterial DNA extracted from each of the 3 submitted mud fossil samples using the GeneClean Ancient DNA Extraction Kit. Now, all they did was take the particles that I sent them, and I drilled inside of 2 of them, and the third one, this one here, was with the hand. I had all the thing of the hand, and I could see the pattern of the distal phalanges right there so well, and the blood supplies and everything. So I went down in here, and I could see there was blood right there. I went in, and I just sort of scraped around, and this one was not nearly as dense as the other ones. But the other ones, I went right up inside where there was arterial, actual blood. So, and he did say it was dense for ancient DNA. And he did all the negative controls, and nothing came up. You know, I'm going to post the report. People can take a look at it and see. It was extremely professional. I was very impressed. And he talks about all the 3 different, I don't know, whatever it is they do. And and it came down to where you can see two of them had very dense DNA, is what he said, and one of them didn't. And the one that didn't was this one here that was so eroded. But I wanted to see, because I have all the rest of the hand that goes with this fingertip, and it's 3 feet wide. I have another, I have all of the parts to that just about. Anyway, these are all the things that came down, and what the primers they used, and what they extracted. And then they took, and they were submitted to Eaton Biolabs in New Jersey for the sequencing. And they ran them through the whole, whatever they do, the national database. And here's what it came back. Homo sapien mitochondrial cytochrome B, mitochondrial D loop, both of them. And the other one came back only one of the two. They could find a match, I believe that was the case. And now here's all of these CTAGs, or you know, the DNA sequencing that determines that this particular chunk of all of these codes have to match exactly to what the human mitochondrial DNA is, and they do. There's a seed, there could be, all this got to do is be 1 or 2 out of place and you're done. And he said it was 100% match. Not my words, it was from the lab, and I talked to the lab, very, very good. And it was verified by the lab director for Helix Biolabs. And that's all they did, was verify that what I sent had the human mitochondrial DNA in it. That's it. Case closed on that. Good morning, my good friends. It's Roger, Mud Fossil University. Today we're going to go over how this goose became a rock. How did that happen? It was just neck, it died laying like this. And I could tell you how it happened. I know how it happened, and I know why this is flat. And I know how it turned into what it is. And I have studied this for 10 years. Rocky, my friend here, Rocky the goose, and we have been studying the new creatures that were, well, they were old creatures, but they were here long before us. And they had a different style of feet. And I am going to be getting all of the feet components from Tish, who has another setup. I have 3 or 4 different styles of no-toes here. She has some. They have springs inside of them instead of bones. But that is the heel, and that's the strap leading up. I will be going over all of this. And they had a tibia and a fibia. So the tibia is the one that was right in here, the big bone that sticks up, and the fibia sits on the side, the tibia and the fibia, and it does this, and it had an arch. It was not too much different, but the toes are built right in. This is where the blood supply feeds. And when you see this different color like that, and you can actually see the toes in here too. But anyway, the blood, in the microscope, I can see where the blood leaked out of here, where the bone was fused into there. This is all quite, I mean, I have so much stuff, and she has, you should see the stuff she has, but she also has a tibia and a fibia on hers. The fibia broke off, and she's got, actually you can see almost, it looks like there's metal stays inside there, but she absolutely has the springy effect instead of tendons. Now I'll be having these in my shop within, I hope, in a week or two, and I'll be looking at them in the microscope, and I'm going to do a good assessment of these, because this is our history, and it's being avoided. And so we're going to go over all this. Now we're going to spend a little time looking at the microscope, lungs and so forth. Before I even say one more word, I want to be absolutely, certainly, perfectly clear. Anybody that's working with me is not making any claims whatsoever. Nobody. The people that did the DNA, no claim whatsoever other than what I submitted was human. It came back as human DNA. Case closed for them. The anatomist, all he can do, and he agrees, he said, I can't tell you what it is or not. He said, I can see it, it looks like a human being. The things I worked on, he's the top, as far as I'm concerned, he's got to be one of the top anatomists in the world, Gil Headley. And he says, all I can ever do is say, whether it follows the same anatomical look, because he's not touching them. He can't say one way or the other. He doesn't have any DNA on it. I am doing all of that other stuff. So one person has a piece, another person has a piece, another person has a piece. They're not making any claims, but they are being attacked. Even the people, I think, no, I don't know, but I think even the people that did the CAT scans are, that's all they're doing. They put it into the CAT scan and give me the results. They didn't say what it was. The people that did the DNA, give me the results. Never said what, well, they say what the results of the tests were. But this is not right to go after the people that help to do the research. This is exactly what happened to Velikovsky. And they destroyed him, and they made him take his book off the bookshelves because they attacked the publisher. Not that it was wrong, or any of the research was wrong. They didn't want it done. And I don't want this to happen again. I really don't. I mean, it can't happen again this time. There's just too much evidence. But it's really, it's 10 years. So they could win. And I'm going to sort of leave it at this. This is a hand, 36 inches wide. This is a really fine looking fingertip from it. The other one was this one that was very eroded. I just wanted to see if you could get DNA deep out of, just take it out of the holes in here. This one here is, I could have taken it out of there, deep drilled in there, which is what I did with the other one, which is a gigantic fingertip, that the fingertip itself is almost 3 feet wide, and I'll show you that one in a second. That one I smashed it off, and I have the actual fingerprints from it. This one here is a left hand. The thumb goes off this way. Follow yours down there. You look at this. You can see this is the bumpery pad that's around your, the fleshy part. And then there's a tendon that runs down. And this goes only up to about here on your fingers. It's not even all the way to the tip. And it's a pretty good sized hand. Now, that is the 3 foot wide one. There's one here. Hold on a second. All right, once again, they're making no claims from anybody but me. I sent the DNA out of there. I smashed this off. This was just like this. It was just like that. And I smashed it off so I could get down inside. This is really, literally the grip skin. And that is the fingerprints. It still has the fingerprints on it. You see those? Those are fingerprints. I'll show you what grip skin looks like. And that's what it is. It's almost 36 inches long. It's the blood supply in the back. Just like the other fingertip had its blood supply up here. You see? That's a fingernail. And this is 1 foot, 2 feet. It's like 30 inches wide. I think it's about 3 feet long. And that tested 100% human DNA. And it came back saying it was dense. Because I took it, I had to break it off to get up inside the blood vessels. Okay, I'm going to leave it at this. I am the one making the claims. Nobody else is signing on to this other than saying, here's the results of my test, here's the results of my observation, here's the results of my whatever it is, chemistry. I am saying, putting it all together, this is grip skin, exactly like that. It peeled right off, just the way this peels off. These are the sweat pores. These are the actual finger ridge prints. In addition to that, we have electron flood theory, which changes to make the nucleus flooded with dipole electrons. That gives it a dipole nature. They know this Bohr theory is wrong, so stay with Mud Fossil University. I personally, Roger Spur, am making these claims. Nobody else. Don't point to me and say, oh, I said this guy said that and this guy said that. If you said something, I can say you said it. If you didn't say it, I'm not going to make it up. So all I'm saying is I'm presenting as much evidence as I can to support my statements, and all I care about is finding out what they mean to my eternity, to be perfectly honest at this point, because I'm getting close to that. So do what you will with this information, but it's coming from me, nobody else, so don't go assaulting anybody that work with me. All they're doing is reporting on things that I send them. So what about this? What about this? What about this? They're just giving their one professional opinion on one little aspect of my research. I am putting it together and making the claims. Throw the rocks at me. All right, goose, everything turns to stone. And you can't hardly get a rock without blood. I love you all. So my friend Rocky and I are going to say good day for the day here. We're going to do a little more research. See the feathers on it? Everything is separated from everything else by a layer which actually turns into what they call feldspar. And it's this fabric-y looking stuff. And on the lung, it's extremely dense and thick because of the specific requirements of the lung to expand and contract over and over and over and over, or you will not do well if it doesn't work well. And right now, you know, honestly, COVID is attacking the collagen fibers that give you flexibility. So not only does your lungs start giving you trouble, you can't breathe, your blood vessels actually rupture because every time your heart goes, they have to go bloop, bloop, bloop. That's why they feel for your pulse, bloop, bloop, and they actually can rupture. Then you get blood clots. And the heart, the same thing. The heart has to have this same. It's a certain type of rubbery fabric. I think it's collagen 1 turns to 3 or 3 turns to 5 or something. I think it's like 28 collagens. And they're all designed for different areas in your body. There's collagens on here. And there's collagens inside here. Inside where the little alveoli are in there. And then everything that has a blood vessel around it has to be able to be flexible and move and twist. And that's all collagen and keratins, and they're rubbery, lipid-based molecules that are formed into fabric. I mean, I have it all. I have tons of this stuff. I do this all day long. Well, not all day long. Every now and then I do other things. Whoops, wrong mouse. Hold on a second. Here we go. You see this? That's what's inside of mud fossil body parts here. Let's see, and then. You know, that's when they're in certain conditions, like that's grip skin. That's in a really good grip skin. This is the dense stuff that's in the lungs, and that's just how they change. There's some gold. There's little gold fabrics here and there, and it goes down and down and down. And I've got them in like. You know, that's a lung, or I believe a lung, or a bone, and that's one of the cavities, and something's growing down in one of the holes in the cavity. This is the fascia, which they call feldspar. All right, that's just black. That's vein blood. Whenever you see the black, it's vein. Whenever you see the red, it's artery. All right, and here's some of each. Okay? And these little black balls are the interstitium. That keeps the fabric. And as they erode, this interstitium shows up, the little black balls. That's you see, these are all arteries, and you see there's all those little black balls are interstitium. They're all everywhere. You see this fabric in here? That's some kind of grip skin. That's probably on your feet, I would imagine, somewhere like that. It's blood veins and arteries and all this stuff there's nothing here that's I understand it all now very, very well, and where it comes from: lungs and lung tissue, lungs, different transition metals in the lungs, all those different colors. Well, this is actually silification. Silicon takes over, crystallizes, makes quartz crystals in where blood was, and that's well here. It's from a lung, and sometimes they will fill in. Most of the times they don't, but occasionally the little holes will fill in with quartz crystals because there'll be a seed in there. Normally, the seed will be some form of a transition metal. In this case, it's silicon. Other times, it might be somewhere really close to the silicon, right? it's one of these transition metals here, and you'll start to have colors. That's what gives you the different colored crystals. They start off with a seed, and they want to keep adding that same molecule, and you get this nice, because silicon is like carbon. So you see silicon's right above carbon? There's 8 in the valence shell, and this has 4, and this has 4. It's a silicon dioxide, carbon dioxide. Same thing, basically. They have the same chemical properties. Carbon, anyway, that's a whole other story. I like the chemistry of it, and I understand the chemistry of it, and I understand how the body works. And if you don't have these transition metals in your body, you're sick. You have to have those transition metals. Those carry and drop things off. They can take on or give up electrons. It's as simple as that.